Hey everybody, this is Minion Soldier, and this is Ship Updates. Now, there are ship updates out there. The problem is there's an NDA between, or at least me being party to breaking an NDA between me showing them to you and not. So, we're going to focus on what we're allowed to say and what we're allowed to talk about, which, well, we do have this. This is the Tumbrils Cyclone, which was, of course, sold this summer and already in testing within CIG. This was from Sandy Gardner's Twitter, sorry. And yeah, so those of you who bought one during the summer, hopefully soon-ish, you should have your hands on your little ATV. Now, of course, on ATV this week, we learned about updates to the Gladius, the Herald, the Buccaneer, the Sabre, presumably the Gladiator as well, and the Vanguard in terms of their overall cockpit layout, their MFD functionality. We learned a lot of things about that. Of course, we got this beautiful shot of the Cutlass cockpit. Of course, you see the moon and then the sun coming over the moon. It just looks fantastic. However, I realized that, you know, there is a bit of a controversy in terms of the amount of space that the MFDs are now taking on the screen versus the original Cutlass cockpit, and some people feeling that, you know, with this and the Gladius, that this is moving in the wrong direction, and other people saying no, it looks great. And you know, here, of course, we have the original Cutlass cockpit, so handy footage to have on a day like today. Now, I realize that there's probably a lot of you who are like, oh crap, here he goes. No, I'm not going to present any one opinion or any one point of view as correct. I am simply lucky enough to be in a position right now where I can give you direct comparisons of where we were, where we are, and where we're going. Now, of course, this is the interior of the current Cutlass cockpit in 2.6 dot whatever. As you can see, the MFDs not really all that useful, and you can kind of see the argument for the new Cutlass cockpit. Certainly, the MFDs are more or less useless. I mean, they're there. You're aware of them. You can kind of vaguely see the information, but much like, say, driving your car, you're looking at the horizon, you're driving down the street. If you want to read your odometer, you still have to glance down at it and actually read it. You're aware that it's there. You can see it, but you can't really see it, if you know what I mean. You can't really see it with any real detail to make it legible. So it's clear to see from this point why an enhanced cockpit would be needed. Larger MFDs, you would need to be able to see all that information. But now let's, through the magic of computers, go back in time. Now, here we are in the OG Cutlass. This is Cutlass V1. You might notice some differences, of course. Once again, the MFDs are illegible and more or less just party favors, and oh my god, the Cutlass can actually fire the guns on its turrets. Whoo! Yep, that was the OG Cutlass. Sadly not a thing, but instead of MFDs, we of course have a heads-up display with pertinent and critical information displayed right where we need it. And it's navigatable as well. You can change these screens around. You can go to different things. You want to see shields, you want to see power settings, you want to see guns, ammunition, all that, it's all there. You just navigate through it. You can do it with your keyboard, you can do it with your joystick, you can even do it with voice commands. That's the way it originally was. But, you know, the MFDs just being these kind of static displays didn't satisfy some, so it was felt that all this information should be moved down to the MFDs, which brings us to where we are now. Illegible MFDs. So when you look at the new Cutlass, of course, artistically, detail-wise, this thing is a triumph over the other Cutlass versions. Absolutely. There is no contest. And I have slowed this footage down so that, as you can see, much like the original Cutlass, we're going to go back to the current Cutlass in a little while, but you can see, you can look around, you can see beneath you, you can see down to the left and down to the right. You do have to navigate the camera much more so with the newer version of the Cutlass, but you know, when you look at the detail level, it's an amazing difference. Now, of course, this represents a rebuild from a model that goes all the way back to 2014, so of course it's going to look a heck of a lot better. Now, this way, you would have to really look at the old Cutlass and the current Cutlass and say, okay, how would they look with this level of detail put into them? And that's, you know, it's a difficult thing to imagine very accurately. I mean, it's subjective, of course, as well. But in the end, I think that this way, kind of giving you guys all three versions of the Cutlass, when you're out there and you're discussing it on Spectrum and on Reddit or wherever else, you're better armed for that discussion. And I always think it's important to acknowledge the loss of the HUD when talking about this topic, because a lot of people have forgotten about that old HUD, and to bring it back and to show it to them, I think it better informs the discussion around these things. And, you know, once again, this doesn't just affect the Cutlass, this affects many other fighters as well. So here you go, old, current, and new. There it is. That is the journey of the Cutlass as it continues. There are certainly some very strong features in the new Cutlass that I absolutely love. But, you know, you do have that old Cutlass with that HUD, and there you go. There's the information for you. Discuss. Anyways, that's all the show I got for you this week. I hope you enjoyed it, and thanks for watching.